Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So last tutorial was very long and detailed. So this time we're going to make it a little bit more simplified, and this cake was for another wedding and they wanted more of the fall warm colors. Even though it's May, they wanted these colors. So we did buttercream flowers and some painting on the cake. First of all, we're going to make our flowers. And I like to take a large piece of parchment paper. Most people don't have pieces this large, and that's fine. Just use what you have. And I just like to cut it in fold it in pieces, or fold it up, and then cut it along the sides, and then cut your pieces for your flowers. I did some smaller ones and some larger ones because I wanted to do some large flowers. And I don't think I've shown you how to make large buttercream flowers. I've done more the medium and small ones. So when we do the large ones, we're going to use a larger flower nail and a larger piece of parchment. And when we put our buttercream in the center that we're going to build our petals around, make sure that that buttercream is fairly thickened. You want it to hold the weight of the extra buttercream that comes with a larger flower. And I piled it up nice and high, and then we start our center at the very tip. Now we're not going to use all of that buttercream that we used as our center. We're just building around it. We can always just remove that off the bottom before you move it over onto another piece of parchment if you want to, or you can just cut it down when you are attaching it to the cake, which can be a little bit more difficult because I didn't even honestly worry about it because I wanted some bulk with these flowers, so I didn't mind the extra height on the bottom of the flowers. So I guess I would suggest just leaving it as is so that we have some smaller ones. And our two-tone ones, I did that by just lining one side, the side of the piping bag that has the thinner side of the teardrop, because I'm using large rose, well, I guess just a large rose tip. I can't talk. Tip. To get the larger roses. Don't use the smaller rose tip, use your larger one. And I put the orange in the top of that where the smaller end is, and the yellow on the bottom. And then you get a two-tone flower. And then I'm showing you here too, and I did it on the orange and the yellow flower, that you can manipulate these petals a little bit. The orange and yellow ones, I waited for them to crust over a little bit, and then I just used a brush and just kind of pushed those petals in place. And then we're doing some, what are those called? I think they're called ranunculuses. Yes, ranunculuses. And I used this deep green, which was a forest green with a little bit of black, because I wanted to have that deep center. And when you do your first rows of buttercream on those, make sure that you're overlapping them and holding your piping bag more kind of over at an angle so that they lap over each other, and then open it up as you go out. And then this is just kind of, I don't know, it's almost daisy-ish. I did a ring of buttercream to hold the petals up. And then I did 3 petals spaced out. And then I went back in and did 3 petals in between each of those. And then just use your smaller, probably a number 2, 1 or 2, circular tip to do the center. Now you'll want that thickened also so that it holds up. And then I popped all those flowers in the freezer while I got the cakes ready to be decorated. They can be left overnight. Shoot, you can leave them for a few nights. It's fine. Nothing's going to happen to them in the freezer. And you need them frozen to attach them to the cake anyways. So just kind of put those out of your mind while you get the rest of the cake ready. And this was a 6-inch and an 8-inch cake. And there's 3 layers of cake with filling in between. And I had already had them crumb-coated. I believe Lisi had crumb-coated them for me, I believe. And then I did the final layer. And now I'm making my paints that I'm going to brush on to the cake. So we had an inspiration photo to go with. And it was just brush marks. Kind of more, not blended, like more obvious brush marks. Like long rectangles almost. So I'm using flat brushes more than anything else. And I used, what did I use? A golden yellow, orange, and it was like a burgundy. And then I cut my straws to the height of the cake, and I'm just arranging them in a star pattern. And add a little buttercream before you attach your top tier, and that will get both the tiers to stick together. Now you can put a dowel down the middle if you like to have that safety net. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. Most of the time we do, but if it's not going very far away, don't always do it. But most of the time, yes. And I think I did on this one. I do believe I did because they were coming to pick it up. But I probably just cut that footage out because you don't need to see that every time. And then when I'm layering up my painting, I start with the lightest color first. And you can layer it up. I would suggest that instead of going in with real deep color, go in with lighter color, then you can go back over and add more layers to get more depth. It's a little easier that way. But yeah, I just use gel colors and Everclear. You can use vodka, you can use lemon extract, you can use rejuvenating spirits. Any of those would work to make a paint out of this. But it's a very watered down gel. Very watered down. I'm trying to make it a little bit, I don't want it to be too neat. It's a little bit more of an abstract idea. So not all of my brush strokes start right at the edge. Then we have our burgundy color, which is a more bold color, and that's fine. But this is my watered down version of it. I suppose I could have added a little bit more Everclear to water it down or thin it out a little bit more. But at this point, I was pretty confident on what I was doing. I had done enough of the other two colors that I had a good feel of how this was going to work out. And this is all on buttercream, guys. You don't have to do this on fondant. You don't have to use fondant for these cakes. And then I put it in the refrigerator to let it dry, probably a good 30 minutes to get that paint to dry. And then I'm just going in with buttercream, and I had removed my flowers from the freezer. Now I need to work with these a little fast because they will come to room temperature very quickly. And I'm just attaching them with some buttercream. And you don't want to touch them too much because the warmth from your hands will get them to come to room temp faster. And a few pieces might crack off a little bit, but that's okay. Nobody's going to know but you. Then I wrap them around the top also. And I like to start with my larger flowers. Kind of start with your larger flowers in the middle. I like to do the middle and then the top part and the bottom part and then fill in between. I didn't get a lot of footage of the leaves. I'm just using a large leaf tip and the same green that I used in the centers of the ranunculuses. And I'm just filling in the gaps. So there you go, guys. Something a little bit different than last time, and I don't do a lot of the buttercream flower videos, but this one was pretty neat and a little different from the other cakes we've been doing lately. Just because it's spring and wedding season does not mean you have to do all the lighter colors. I hope you liked it. So thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch my video, and if you'd like to watch some other videos, go ahead and click on the link to one of these other videos shown here. And if you would like to check out my other social media, I am on Facebook and Instagram under the same name, Sophisticakes by Mary. And please take the time to share, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload another video. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next tutorial.